Welcome to the subject on water quality issues and agricultural practices within the Master in Agricultural and Hydrological Approaches. These lectures have been prepared by the University of Girona. The first one of them deals about groundwater pollution. Groundwater quality issues affect all the hydrological system, from the most surface layers to the deeper ones, and involving all the groundwater path within the system. The water budget is really important to understand which are the mechanisms that will conduct pollution to pollute groundwater as a main resource for agricultural areas. The second lecture focuses on why hydrochemistry is necessary to understand the quality of groundwater. Field measurements are important, and taking samples, we look for the groundwater composition that will explain the main processes that affects its quality and the resource. We need to know where to sample. Hydraulical basins are really wide, and we know in which hydrological units we should sample and focus our interest. Not only where, but also when. How often should we sample some wells or rivers to have a nice knowledge of what's going on in this aquifer about groundwater quality? We should look for cost-effective procedures to sample these aquifers. And also we have to focus on which compounds are we interested with. We can sample some pollutants, but also the major components of groundwater are of interest to know the framework where these pollutants exist. Also, we have to know which methods will be used, how to evaluate these chemical compounds, and which laboratory approaches are needed. That will finally tell us how efficient will be our work, and also the economical cost of it. The next lecture deals about groundwater data treatment and plotting. Many groundwater processes are well understood if we know how to understand the hydrochemical data that we get from the laboratory, and plotting them is really crucial to understand the geochemical processes that will control groundwater pollution. Some very simple bivariate plots will tell us about the evolution of the samples within the aquifer related to some specific geochemical reactions. Other plots, like the Piper and Hill plot, will tell us about hydrochemical phases. They will group samples according to their geochemical characteristics and will also tell us about mixing between different groups of samples. All of this information is crucial to understand what's going on in the aquifer and how agricultural practices change the composition of groundwater. The use of isotopes mixed with hydrochemical data may produce some interesting plots that explain the behavior of the aquifer. Maybe they are not easy, but those data, that combination of data, hydrochemical and isotopical data, are very powerful. Next lecture deals about contaminant transport processes. There are many processes that control the movement of pollutants and hydrochemical components in the aquifer. Advection and dispersion are the two main physical properties that depend on the hydraulic properties of the media. We have to know the characteristics of the solute transport, and moreover, we have to know the equations and understand their meaning, and know which parameters are involved in each equation and which are the magnitude of these parameters, so we can simulate the movement of pollutants and reach some conclusions that then will be interesting for managing purposes. Nevertheless, most of the pollutants are not conservative. They may solve using different isotherms. We have to know about the geochemical behavior of each pollutant, while others will degrade and disappear from the aquifer. The last lecture deals about groundwater quality and aquifer protection. It is an integrated lecture that deals about how wells modify the flow system, so they modify the movement of the pollutants within the aquifer. Natural attenuation processes occur within the aquifers, and they reduce the concentration of the pollutants based on geochemical reaction. It is interesting to identify this type of processes so it can be used to manage groundwater pollution. If we understand that groundwater pollution becomes a hazard, then there is some risk involved with it. We understand risks are the losses that came from a hazard, losses that can be in agricultural efficiency, economical losses, or environmental issues. Therefore, assessment risk related to groundwater pollution is the last step for a groundwater pollution study. Thank you very much.